Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's installments of the HAQQ webinar. To people that have been with us before, welcome back. To new attendees, welcome. We are HAQQ. We are the leading legal tech company in the Middle East, and we're on a mission to digitize justice. So basically, what we do at HAQQ, we're providing lawyers with technology that allows them to stay ahead of their time and to continue their practices. And as part of that endeavor, we've just launched a new program in digitizing bar associations. And we've signed the first e-bar agreement in the MENA with the Triple E Bar Association. As part of our endeavor to digitize justice, a big part of what we do is legal academia. We work on developing skills, practical skills that lawyers need, and we tend to move away from theoretical law and more into practical law. And part of our academic program is these legal webinars that we hold every Friday at 3 p.m. Today's webinar is particularly interesting for lawyers, especially lawyers in the MENA region. It's going to be presented by our guest speaker, Antoine Kanaan. Antoine is actually the co-founder and CEO of HAQQ. He is also a board member of the Emirates Legal Network in charge of well-versed in the world of AI and AI technology, especially with what we're doing in HAQQ, trying to develop, we're actually developing the new generation of AI legal assistance for lawyers. The subject he's going to talk about today is AI and its impact on the legal profession and how it's redefining what it means to be a lawyer in the era of artificial intelligence. Antoine, I'm not going to take any more of your time. Please, the floor is yours. We're all ears.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much for the introduction. We're really committed here at HAQQ to making sure that the best knowledge comes to the surface the soonest for the people who like HAQQ. So it's really a big pleasure to be here. I really appreciate all the attendees. And I just want to start by laying out how this sort of webinar will be carried. This is a very interactive webinar. Very interactive webinar. We're going to be talking about something very exciting, something we're personally working on at HAQQ, which is called Legal AI. And I definitely encourage you all to be active participants. So please, any question you have at any given time, please send it in the chat. And we will be actively sending out polls for you where we will be seeing your responses to certain questions I will be asking. All right? So let's start. I'm going to try and keep it a short webinar, under an hour. I'm going to try and finish by 4 p.m. I'm going to start by defining artificial intelligence. And really, artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that focuses on creating intelligence capable of performing tasks that are typically done by humans. That elevates it above other types of intelligence and above the usual computing, in that it is designed to compete with a human. It is designed to compete with a human at things that only humans are good at. And this really separates it from normal computing tasks that are simple and straightforward. Because artificial intelligence is designed to learn from data, to solve problems, to understand and respond to natural language, and to make decisions. And AI is really built on a couple of key principles. First, you have machine learning, the idea that AI allows a machine to learn by itself without it being explicitly programmed to do so. What does that mean? That means that, for example, let's say I have an AI and the AI could by itself learn how to cook, even though it originally was designed to be a specific LLM for chemists. But because it started one place and then you fed it enough data, the AI taught itself how to do something, in this case, how to cook. A second part of AI, a second pillar of AI, is the idea of a neural network. It's very mimicant of human biology and physiognomy, in that the human brain is really the best computer on earth. The human brain, the way it's laid out, the way it's energy efficient, the amount of compute that it can perform is really second to none. So they looked at the way the neurons fire in the brain, and that's how they designed artificial intelligence. They created neural nets and neural networks, and it really tries to mimic the way that information and data is processed and passed around and transmitted within the compute, within the graphic card, within the AI itself and software part, but also in terms of how it relates to the hardware. And then another big pillar of AI is the fact that it's natural language processing. You can talk to it and it can talk back to you. And in fact, if any of you have ChatGPT 4.0, try putting two phones next to each other and have them carry on a conversation. And they can carry on a conversation for hours without you interfering at all. And then again, there's deep learning where it's basically a mix of neural networking and machine learning to extrapolate new information. Whereas with machine learning, you're really focused on existing knowledge. Deep learning could potentially uncover new knowledge, something that is not in the statistical data. And then obviously you have the robotics of it, which is giving AI a material corpus to interact with the world. Robots powered by AI. And this is something they're actually doing right now between Figure and OpenAI. So the reason this is all important, after defining AI and just giving you a base understanding of what it does, the reason it's very important is because it has huge impact on our daily life. And AI taken ad infinitum, taken to the extreme, will really challenge the way we perceive the economy, the way we transact with each other, the way we derive value from life. And the way it's going to play out is still unclear. It's a very exciting time in human history. We're discovering new things about ourselves, about society, and about the world at large just from this one technological invention. And it is a watershed institution in human civilization. We will be living in a pre-AI and a post-AI era. It is massive. It really is something for the history books. There will not be a single facet of human life that will not be touched by AI. AI will disrupt every single facet and outlet of being a human being first. But how will it disrupt the idea of being a lawyer? And that's really the discussion here. Someone in the legal industry, someone who's working as a lawyer, as a judge, as a notary, maybe as a law professor, how will AI affect this particular industry? And for those of you who do know about HAQQ, you know we've been talking about this before anyone else was talking about this. We've been talking about this from the period of 21-22, when we even did a conference and we called it the digitization of future of law. We did it at the Lancaster Plaza, and our chairman, who was a guest speaker at the time, Dr. Anatoly van der Krans, made a prediction, and he said, you will go to an era where robots will arbitrate your disputes, and they will decide whether or not you are and who has the right things. Because in a lot of sense, it is somewhat binary. And so the question is, will that really happen? Will it not? How will AI affect all of this? It really is an exciting topic, and I'm going to start with the first batch of questions. I want to see, how well do you guys understand AI? How well do you guys know AI? So the first question is this. When was the word artificial intelligence first used, first coined? So when was the very first time someone said the word artificial intelligence? You have four options: 1453, 1999, 1956, and 2001. You got to think AI is something that is being said a lot these days. But when was the first time someone ever said it? When's the first recorded instance of the use of the word artificial intelligence? We're going to take 30 seconds, and afterwards we're going to be closing the poll. one thing I can say is I'm very excited to see what you guys are going to answer. Please, if someone didn't get the poll, please inform us through the chat, but I think everyone should have gotten it. I'm really excited to see how you guys are going to answer because I'm pretty sure the correct answer will surprise many of you. Okay, if we can close the poll, please, so we can reveal the answer. And so 6% said 1453, 38% said 1999, and 6% said 2001. Interestingly, the majority got it correct. It is actually 1956. And AI really started as a math project. AI is applied mathematics. Especially LLMs are a huge statistical model. You have a lot of data, it's organized, and then this data is interpreted by a computer as a means of understanding the world at large. And it's all a bunch of zeros and ones. So AI really is a math project. It's an application of mathematics, and then you can see it from the way it was created. AI was coined by Marvin Minsky, Claude Shannon, Ray Solomonov, and others who were working on the research project Artificial Intelligence at the Dartmouth University at the summer of 1956. 1956. And then you could read it here. You could actually read the principles that I mentioned earlier were there in that first paper. We propose that a 2-month, 10-man study of artificial intelligence be carried out during the summer of 1956 at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. And so an attempt will be made to find how to make machines use language, form abstractions and concepts, solve kinds of problems now reserved for humans, and improve themselves. So you can see all of the pillars of artificial intelligence, deep learning, neural networks, etc., they were there. They were defined in this paper. And that's actually something very, very interesting to understand. A lot of people are saying AI is going to replace so and so. AI will replace this and that. AI won't replace. AI will replace. The discussion is evolving on whether or not it can actually replace humans in certain positions. But the truth of the matter is it was designed to replace humans at certain functions. So the second question is this: will it replace lawyers? Goldman Sachs is an American investment bank. They're one of the best, and they are actually known for one thing. They're known for making analysis and then putting billions of dollars behind their analysis. So they put their money where their mouth is, and they made a prediction in 2023 about the impact of artificial intelligence on the legal industry. So, how much of the legal sphere can AI replace? I'd like for all of you to take a moment to answer. You have 4 options. Will it replace 55% of lawyers, 44%, 22%, or 77%? How many will it replace? We're going to close the poll in 10 seconds, so kindly answer as soon as possible. Okay, thank you very much. If we could please see the answers. Fantastic. So once again, it seems we have a very well-educated audience here because the majority got it correct. Goldman Sachs did in fact predict a 44% automation disruption by artificial intelligence in the US legal industry. And it predicted that this would happen more or less over a period of the next 10 years. So you can see that AI is coming for lawyers first. And so the question is, what are lawyers doing about it? Can lawyers do anything about it? And what does this mean for the future? Well, this is the third question I'm about to ask you. Lawyers are actually doing something about it, and they're leaning into AI because they saw that they can use AI to be the number one beneficiary of AI because AI can actually empower lawyers to do so much more. Yes, it will replace some functions, but it will not replace the profession as a whole. That is our thesis. And it's actually validated by the market because the market is actually spending quite a bit of money on legal AI. So let's estimate in 2024 alone, how much will be spent by lawyers on legal AI? You have four numbers 100 million, 1 million, 37 million, or 37 billion. A, B, C, D. So the numbers here range between a minimum of 999,000 US, which is basically a million, and a maximum of 37 billion US. And I'm going to clarify this is not how much money is being invested in the space, this is how much money is being spent by lawyers on legal AI in 2024 alone. So let's give 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds starting from now, and let's actually close the poll and see what the audience thinks. Okay, if we can close the poll, please, and see what the audience thinks. Okay, so I'm glad we finally got a question that you guys couldn't answer because we have 39% that said 100 million worldwide in 2024. Then we had one person say a million, 8 people, so 44% say 37 million, and then 11% said 37 billion. The real answer will come as a surprise. It is 37 billion with a B. Zipdo estimates that legal AI software will attract $37 billion in revenue just in 2024. That is massive. And that is actually a great indicator that, unlike what you may be hearing in your circles currently in this particular geography or whatever circle you might be in, globally, there's a lot of bullish yearnings towards legal AI, and people are actually spending a lot of money. $37 billion is a is worth $850 billion. They're spending 37 billion just on legal AI software just in 2024. And that number is growing exponentially because adoption will be driven forward in the next 5 to 10 years. So the question is, how are you adopting AI? For the lawyers here, I'd love for you to answer the question in forward, or just at least on a piece of paper, and then during the Q&A session at the end, I'd love to hear your answers. You can start by introducing yourself later on and then telling us about how you would be using legal AI currently as a lawyer. And I'd love to know how you guys assess current AI systems and how you could potentially imagine the use of AI in the future within legal systems. So take a screenshot, think about these questions. I'd love an answer towards the end. And for now, really just by a show of hands, there's a react button on Zoom. Okay? Does AI threaten the very essence of being a lawyer? Does it threaten the future of being a lawyer? If you think yes, post a thumbs up, react with a thumbs up, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Perfect. So I can already see a few thumbs up. That means everyone's being able to do that. Please, everyone, if you think that's the case, thumbs up. Otherwise, thumbs down or any other emoji. Just send an emoji. I want to see some engagement here. Perfect. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up. Wow. So it seems like here there's a major risk that is recognized by the audience in terms of. I see one no, but it's very funny because we have a celebration. Anyway, so I see that the audience thinks there's a lot of risk, and AI is a real existential threat to being a lawyer, and maybe that's the case. But before we really answer that question, I want to answer, what does it mean to be a lawyer? Is this what it means to be a lawyer? You know, Cicero in the Roman Senate arguing and spewing out rhetoric and then defending a case? Is this what it is? Or is it, you know, being a traditional civil law lawyer, wearing your robe, pleading your case? These two pictures are 2,000 years apart. But you can see there's not much change. Maybe a bit more paper, but practically the same. It's still one person pleading. And that really tells you about the evolution of the industry as a whole. It's an industry that doesn't really take quantum leaps forward. It takes tiny baby steps. And so you could even maybe potentially argue that being a lawyer is just someone who could plead before a jury or a court, or maybe being a lawyer is someone that can just understand and memorize the law by heart. Maybe that's the case. Because throughout history, a lot of it was really just knowing the law in and out and then being able to memorize that, because not many people had the capacity or the access to memorizing and knowing the law. And that's why the term is lawyer, as in someone who understands the law. But if that's the case, then yes, AI can replace lawyers. If being a lawyer is defined as someone who understands the law and can apply the law, then yes. So it's obvious that maybe that's not the right definition for being a lawyer. Because that's like saying, well, a mathematician is someone who does compute. And then you have calculators come up, and they actually did this, by the way. This is a real page from the Daily Item in South Carolina. Elementary school teachers protest against the use of the calculator. This is in 1956. And so the question is, well, were math teachers replaced? No. Were mathematicians replaced? No. Calculators pushed math forward, because now instead of having to spend 20 minutes doing a routine calculation, your calculator can do it for you. Because knowledge is useless without the proper application. Utility comes from the application, it doesn't derive itself from the source. And so it's the same, I think, with lawyers. Just knowing the law and then having an AI being able to out memorize you is not necessarily an indicator of any economic or social value. It's about the, you know, the derivative of the value comes from the derived application of the source. And so it's all about how you apply it. It's about how you use it and what you do with it. It's not about what you have and how fast you can do it. Definitely, a lot of lawyers expect to be using AI in the same way that a lot of mathematicians are expecting and actually are using calculators. And in the same way that calculators were a quantum leap forward, AI will be a quantum leap forward for the legal sphere. Because with AI, you can actually say goodbye to this. And this is something we're definitely doing at HAQQ. It's one of our main missions, digitizing justice, making sure that lawyers no longer have to come back to the office and see their desk like this. They can come back to the office and then this is their desk, because they're using technology to their advantage. They're using technology to make sure that actually, hey, I can do my work faster. I can make sure my clients are a lot happier. And this should be the mentality when dealing with the unknown. It shouldn't be the unknown is something I'm not used to and that makes me afraid. The unknown should be your biggest friend. because that's where the opportunity lies. And if you want to be the best, you have to make use of what you have. And so make use of all the tech you have. Make use of AI, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. But then again, these are just funny cartoons. Maybe that's the future. Maybe you're going to have an AI robotic judge or an AI robotic lawyer. Maybe it is the case. Maybe it isn't. You already have companies with a big chunk of their existing, line of business being replacing lawyers. So at HAQQ, we really care about making sure lawyers have the right tools to succeed, and that technology is used for their benefit, not to their detriment. Then you have companies like Do Not Pay, who are the complete antithesis of who we are, because their entire company is about making sure you don't need a lawyer. You can use the robot to draft your contract, to file your company, to do whatever it is, to represent you in court, maybe soon enough. And so, will there be competition? AI is certainly, it's certainly intellectually capable of competing. So just by a show of hands, how many here are lawyers who have passed the bar exam? I would say a lot of people here. And as you all know, passing the bar exam is no easy task. It's actually very difficult to pass the bar exam, because you need to go through 18 years of schooling and then 4 years of law school before you can even pass the exam. And then here it is, GPT-4 passing the exam. And this is just the first iteration. It's the fourth iteration of GPT. We're still in the early days. It can do things a lot faster. It can really make law firms more productive. And so you really need to think, how am I going to position myself and my firm in an AI world? How am I going to make use of this? And how am I going to be the person that wins this event? Because you can't ignore it. The worst thing you could do is ignore artificial intelligence, because that will be the death of you. AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And it will only get better. It will only get better. Remember that the old Nokia phones and the iPhone are 10 years apart. 10 years. And then the iPhone is 10 years apart from today's AI. Technology is growing and getting better exponentially. You can't bet against the innovation of the tech industry. You have to bet on it and then see how you're going to position yourself to make use of things. So if I'm going to really just strike a message, is think about how you can use AI as a lawyer. Don't think about how AI can replace you. Think, how am I going to be able to use it and actually get better by using it, and how can I beat the next person? That's what you really need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about how to use software really as a whole, to use it to make sure you have a better business, you have a better firm, and that you have happier clients and a happier team. That's all there is to it. This is a very powerful tool, and you should be using it to your advantage. You shouldn't wait. You should start now, digitize now, ditch pen and paper, and then use all the tools available for you. And all the big firms are already doing this, by the way. All the big international firms, they've already jumped on the bandwagon, and they've begun the process of embracing this new phenomenon. So I'm going to share with you what they do. I'm just going to tell you what they use AI for. And then we're going to go forward and just really talk about how you can actually use it yourself in other ways that they haven't thought about. AI right now, with the way it is, actually is very good at document analysis and review. And what I mean by that is you can open up even ChatGPT, which is not a legal AI. It's a chatbot. But even that AI, you just give it a document or a series of documents. Let's say it's a very long contract that's 100 pages. For you to go through 100 pages and review the contract, it's going to take a lot of time. You can feed it to the AI can read it in under a minute, summarize it for you, and actually give you the pointers that you need. And so that's a very important application because time is money. And then if you can get an analysis done by a robot, by an AI, and then base your work off of that, that's actually very good. Given that you competently chose the specific AI tool and it's built for that purpose, and I'm going to get there. But you need to make sure you're using the right AI. And if you're using the right AI, this is what it can do for you. It can also generate documents. It can offer consultations. You can say, hey, I want to build the real estate business. This is my economic activity. Propose a proper legal structure that mitigates and compartmentalizes the risks. And so it can give you a holding structure and can tell you where to incorporate, what documents you need, etc., etc., etc. It can offer really good consultation. It can even research for you. You could give it a book or a library of books, and you could say, find me any information related to rental disputes, and it will give you the information you seek. You could also use it for, KYC and conflict checks. This is something especially prevalent in the British firms, where they cannot take a client if there is a conflict of interest, and they have very rigid client onboarding processes. So you can use AI to cross-check for any and all discrepancies and conflicts between yourself and any of your existing clients with a prospective client. You can use it for education because it can teach you. It can teach you. You can ask it to explain complex concepts like torts, like liabilities, like corporate law. It can teach you these concepts. And obviously, if it has access to the market, then you could use it for predictive analytics. You could use it for insights into policy, for admin support, and you could even use it to communicate with your stakeholders. You can get a chatbot, and then that chatbot would communicate with your clients. And then that's something you could be doing potentially. Maybe not in this region, maybe not yet, but definitely soon. Because AI, who's seen this show? So just by show of hands, send a thumbs up. Has anyone seen this show? Do you recognize these characters? Okay, I see a lot of Suits fans. This is a show called Suits. It's about a New York lawyer called Harvey Specter who hires Mike Ross. And what's special about Mike Ross is he doesn't understand the law, not particularly, not from an experience point of view. And so Harvey always has the edge, but Mike Ross has memorized every single thing there is to know, and he has a huge knowledge base. And that's kind of your relationship with AI. You're going to have to be Harvey, and AI is going to be your Mike. AI will be your Mike Ross, and you will be Harvey. Because AI can do all the things Mike can do. It knows every single law. It knows every single statute. It knows what's there and what isn't. It knows how to draft something very, 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 very quickly. What it doesn't know how to do is how to apply it to your specific case and how to create the strategy on how to apply this knowledge. And that's the margin where Harvey beats Mike, and that's where you, as a lawyer, will remain indispensable. Because at the end of the day, accountability for your advice will have to fall on you. And no one will accept leaving the final accountability to a machine, to an AI, because then no one's accountable. Because how do you hold someone accountable for giving you the wrong legal advice? If they're a robot, if they're ChatGPT? The answer is you can't. So what you do is you ask a lawyer, and then that lawyer is using ChatGPT. That lawyer is using a specific legal AI, etc., etc., etc. You have to make sure that that is the case. You have to make sure you are always in control whenever you're using artificial intelligence, because as you can see, it does make mistakes. And this is a real screenshot that I had with ChatGPT, and this was GPT-4, the paid version. I asked it for a synonym. A synonym means a word with a similar meaning to productivity. And I had one condition: it has to start with a C. Instead, it gave me efficiency. Obviously, it's wrong because efficiency does not start with a C. It starts with an E. And yet AI, and this is not a legal question. This is simply a language question. And ChatGPT is meant to be a language bot. and yet it couldn't do that. So you really, really have to be very careful whenever you're working with artificial intelligence. You really need to double check the work, especially if it's not a application focused legal AI. Because ChatGPT, and I really want to take this opportunity to, to explain. Artificial intelligence is the science. And then you have the LLMs, or the large language models, and these are the specific types of tools, or let's say engines, applied on the science of AI. This later on has an application, and the application is very specific. It's a chatbot, it answers questions, whatever it is, etc. Here you get different tools. And so ChatGPT is not a steak knife. ChatGPT is a butter knife. It's a small butter knife. You can't use it to open a letter. You can't use it to cut up a steak. They are different tools. They're all knives, but they are different tools. So GPT, AI, it's the same. You really have to make sure you're using the right AI for the right application. You can't use a legal AI for a medical application, in the same way that you can't use ChatGPT, which is not a legal AI, for a legal application. ChatGPT is not a legal AI. It is a chatbot LLM. You're just meant to have a conversation with it. It is not responsible for producing correct output. So don't use it, because obviously they will steal your data. And this is something that the New York Times sued OpenAI for. Because how did they train ChatGPT? They used New York Times data. And then Getty lawsuit against Stability AI as well. IP is not really protected in the AI sphere. And machines do hallucinate. They come up with stuff that no one's ever thought of before. So how do you actually make sure you're using the right AI? You have obligations. So I am encouraging you guys to use AI meant for law, but there are certain obligations associated with that, ethical obligations, and they are the 4C. They are the 3 C's and the 1 O: competency, communication, confidentiality, and oversight. And what I mean by that is the AI has to be competent. It has to be specifically attached to this specific field. You gotta make sure that you're able to communicate with the AI back and forth. So it's a specific AI that you can talk with. And then the confidentiality is important. You have to make sure they're not using your data to train the model, because it's not really your data, it's the client's data. You can't give away client's data to the AI. You really have to make sure you never do that. Don't feed it data that you would not want posted publicly on Facebook. And then the final obligation is oversight, because whatever the tool outputs, at the end of the day, you still have to give the final go-ahead, and you will hold accountability for that decision of whether or not to go through with whatever output the machine produced. And so we're at the end of the webinar, and I'd love to leave you with this one question. We talked a lot about AI and how AI will change the future of law. If you were a legal tech founder, what problems would you use AI to solve for? Thank you for your time, and I'm open to receiving questions if there are any questions. I see Maroon has raised his hand. Please, if we can somehow have Maroon speak, is that possible?
Hello,
Hello.
how are you? Thank you for this session. First of all, I have a question regarding which tools, AI tools, are dedicated to legal work. And for your question, that is, what problems as a legal tech founder, I think the number one thing would be the frequently asked tasks. But then, of course, I will upgrade to more complicated stuff. As it resigns, I think the number one thing would be the frequently asked tasks, which is administrative.
Okay, awesome. That's a good one. So you would use it to answer frequently asked questions.
Tasks.
That's actually a good
مش
tasks, repetitive tasks, right?
Yes. هلا ما بعرف قد ايه بتساعد بلبنان لأنه كله على على الورق بس yes. And for the legal tools, you can name some, which are
Yeah. So, like you said, it's tough in this region finding something built for this region. HAQQ AI, we're developing our own AI, is going to be the first one built for the region, and it's going to be released before the end of the year for free to all existing HAQQ subscribers. And it will answer all your questions, it will perform your tasks, it will be integrated directly into your My HAQQ account. So you're going to have your own HAQQ mic, Ross, very, very soon. In terms of tools that are currently available, I would say no good tool is for free. The only reason we're offering it for free is because we have people who are already subscribed to our software. But you're not going to find a good AI that's completely for free. Lexus has a good AI, but it's currently not really used in the region very widely. And then you also have Spellbook. Spellbook has a great product, but it's more so focused on drafting. So Lexus really focuses on the research component of things, and then you have Spellbook, which really focuses on the draft. Not really an AI that does anything on the admin side, and that's where we really want to come in. I hope that answers your question.
yes, thank you. And I just wanted to add something, if I may,
Yeah.
about which problem you can solve. Actually, there is a Lebanese firm or a company that's working on a legal fact-checking software, which is called, I think, Dalil, not sure, but it's from Siren Analytics. They are in Beirut Digital District. And what's they are working on that when a politician says like something, let's say discours, speech, like the information that are in it, like they are fact checked if it's possible, if it's legally permissible, or something like that, which is a great initiative, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be a fantastic tool, and I'd love to see it in action. Thank you,
Thank you.
Maruf, very much for the questions and for your valuable insight. I'd love to see, does anyone else have any question they'd like to ask? I see Omar asked in the Q&A, how to compatible with local laws. I'm answering this question live. How to compatible with local law and local cases by ML data from courts of what? Okay, so you're saying how do you feed it the data, right? So you're saying how does the machine get the data in the beginning to actually understand what to do? That's a very good question. It's one of the main obstacles towards implementing AI in small jurisdictions like us. In the US, you have a very, very big single market with more or less, at least on the federal level, a very clear set of laws. Obviously, you have the state laws and the legislation, but even then, they've done a much better job of maintaining their, body of jurisprudence. And so for them, it's a lot easier. But it's the same process. You take the data, all of the data, all of the data. You take the laws, the legislations, the international agreements, the policies, the executive laws, the executive policies, whatever it is. You take the jurisprudence, the doctrine, you take any unwritten customs, you write them so that it knows the customs. and then you also take commentaries on laws, legal books, etc., etc. You really take all this data, and obviously doing it is no easy task, which is why no one's really done it yet. You take all this data and you ingest it into the AI, into the machine learning component, and then you do data pre-training, and then you go through multiple stages of data ingestion and training until at the very end what you get is something that can more or less answer correctly based on statistical input. So it's going to be tough, especially because we're not really digitized and our laws for the most part aren't really digitized, but anyone who can do it will have a fantastic product.